Is this okay? Can you hear my dogs? It's not just yata my dogs. It's like the dogs of the universe. Okay. Malapal. Winonstong breaking yung state of calamity extension. Okay. I can just ad lib. No worries. Copy 45. Good afternoon. I'm Shania, and this is One News Now. This piece of news just crossed the wires. We have President Duterte extending the state of calamity in the country for another year. The president signed an executive order placing the entire country under a state of calamity due to the COVID-19 pandemic from September 13 this year until September 12 of 2021. He said this move will give the national government as well as local governments more elbow room to respond to the health crisis. Price monitoring as well as utilization of quick response funds, among others, will continue under the said period. And House lawmakers questioned the health department over its reduced budget for COVID-19 response. Meanwhile, the DOH is asking lawmakers for an additional 10 billion peso budget to upgrade health facilities. Ria Fernandez with the details.
A minority lawmaker quizzed the health department over its seeming lack of priority to the COVID-19 response in its proposed budget. In today's budget hearing, Deputy Minority Leader and Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate zeroed in on the department's positioning of 10 billion pesos to address the pandemic under unprogrammed funds.
As I understand it, Madam Chair, pag nasa unprogrammed appropriation yan, ibig sabihin, wala pang pera yan, no? It can only be released subject to certain conditions like may excess collections, there is a loan or whatever, no?
Health Undersecretary for Policy and System Development Mario Villaverde clarified that the amount referred to was for 2020, which was already funded through foreign assistance. But the DBM only approved half of it to be allocated for the same purpose for next year.
Foreign assisted project amounting to 5.2 billion. Yan po ay for next year. Lahat po yan ay para sa COVID response natin, which will include both MOOE and some capital investment to improve our laboratory and testing capacities, to upgrade and to expand our isolation and quarantine facilities, and then to procure personal protective equipment and mga testing kits.
The reduced budget disturbed Zarate even more.
What kind of priority is that if our number one problem is COVID-19? At gusto kong ibalik, may 19 billion nasa isang task force lang. They can dispense 200 million per barangay. Kung may menu sila doon, patubig, palibing, kung ano-ano pa. But here, our problem sa COVID-19, you're only allocating 5.2 billion. So how is that for a priority, Madam Chair?
Despite this, Villaverde said they have separate funding for other interventions such as the procurement of anti-COVID vaccines. However, he admitted that the 2.5 billion peso appropriation for this is still insufficient to cover President Duterte's order to immunize 20 million Filipinos. With this, they are appealing to Congress for an augmentation of at least 10.4 billion pesos. But for Zarate, the DOH must first look at its huge allocation to corrupt and PhilHealth, which comprises over 30% or 71 billion pesos of its whole spending plan. During the hearing, it was also revealed that some government hospitals serving as COVID referral centers suffered budget cuts. Among these are the Lung Center of the Philippines and the Philippine Children's Medical Center.
Tingin ko po dito ang assumption ng DBM. I am just speculating, Madam Chair, na baka naman kasi yung PhilHealth reimbursement sa mga ospital na ito, ayan naman po ang pinakamalaking gastos ng PhilHealth, reimbursement po sa lahat ng mga ospital, kasama po ang mga specialty medical centers, kasama po ang mga national government DOH retained hospitals and LGU hospitals, and also the private sector hospitals. At meron po silang nakukuha din from the medical assistance to the Antigen program.
Nevertheless, DOH underscored its ongoing efforts to further bring down COVID cases in the country. For one, the World Health Organization Solidarity Trials for vaccines is slated to begin in the country by end of October. The agency is also elated with the emergence of more options for COVID screening, such as the Antigen test, which has yet to undergo further studies. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
And COVID-19 cases in the country rose to over 279,000 on Friday. This is as the health department reported more than 3,200 new infections. Active cases now stand at over 65,900. 47 new COVID-related deaths were also recorded today, pushing the total death count to more than 4,800. Total recoveries are now at around 208,700 as over 700 new survivors were logged today. Meanwhile, global COVID-19 cases reached the 30 million mark based on the Johns Hopkins University COVID-19 tracker. The number of deaths from the virus has exceeded 944,000, while recoveries topped 20.4 million worldwide. The PNP Highway Patrol Group inspected buses along Commonwealth Avenue to check if passengers observe the 1-meter physical distancing in public transport. To give us the details, Greg Gregory reports to us live from Quezon City. Greg, what's going on? What happened during today's inspection?
They will review the allowed limited capacity of operating public utility vehicles amid the pandemic. This after the PNP Highway Patrol Group started the strict implementation of minimum 1-meter physical distance among passengers in public transport this morning. The PNP HPG has begun using red sticks as a tool to strictly implement the required distance among passengers during their random inspection of buses in Commonwealth Avenue earlier today. According to PNP HPG Chief of Police Brigadier General Eliseo Cruz, this aims to remind commuters that the prescribed distance remains in place. Recall that on Monday, the Transportation Department reduced the established 1-meter physical distance among commuters to 0.75 meters. That's in a bid to increase passenger capacity and help boost the country's economic recovery. However, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III and Interior Secretary Eduardo Año opposed the move, explaining that there was only a recommendation to further study the impact of this eased measure. They also reiterated that the bigger the distance means lesser chances of COVID-19 transmission. With today's operation, Cruz said some buses are not following the minimum 1-meter distance, particularly passengers seated just one seat apart in buses in a column of 3 seats per row. Only warnings are given today. The PNP HPG said they will be stricter in the coming days and violation tickets will be issued. The OTR earlier mentioned that violation of minimum social distance in public transport would fall under overloading. Sean, in relation to the allowed passenger capacity during the general community quarantine, the LTFRB said that the 1-meter physical distance is not equal to a 50% passenger capacity for each PUV. With this, the agency, along with the DOTR, will issue its revised allowed passenger capacity as soon as possible. Sean?
All right. Thank you, Greg. Traffic looking pretty light behind you on this Friday rush hour. Thank you very much. News 5's Greg Gregorio joining us live today. And the IATF has greenlit the pilot studies of rapid antigen tests. Palace spokesman Harry Roque said the task force has taken the recommendation of the health department to use antigen tests in borders. He added that they will coordinate with the tourism department as well as the DILG in conducting these tests among travelers going from high-risk to low-risk areas. Included in the pilot study is Baguio, which is set to reopen for tourists at a limited capacity starting September 22.
Pero pag na-approve na po itong antigen na test neto, game changer po talaga because in essence, para siyang rapid testing kits, pero ang kanyang accuracy po ay hindi po malayo sa PCR testing.
We're going to pause for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. You're back on One News Now. Sea travel in the country will soon be safer and more convenient. This is after the Philippine Ports Authority, or PPA, unveiled its plan to go automated. Gerard de la Peña gives us the details.
The Philippine Ports Authority has started testing the unified electronic ticketing machines at select ports in the country. Batangas and Calapan ports, where passenger traffic can reach up to 600,000, were the first ones to receive the machines. The PPA said the move aims to prevent overloading in vessels and stop the proliferation of fake tickets. But the main goal is to make the transactions contactless as part of the measures against COVID-19. With this, passengers may eventually book their travel at the comfort of their own homes.
What we want to provide is the safety and convenience ng ating mga pasahero sa mga sasakyang pandagat.
The PPA has also come up with a mobile contact tracing application called Trace. The system has the capability to directly notify a passenger of the need to do self-quarantine if one of those in the passenger terminal tests positive for COVID-19. The PPA said the projects are part of the preparations for the gradual resumption of commercial trips.
Walang masyadong disruption sa passenger traffic dahil kukunti naman ang bumabiyahe. So hopefully, pag nag-start na yung commercial trips kaagad at saka yung mga leisure trips, pag may dagsa na yung mga pasahero, by that time, ready na yung sistema natin, mas madali sa kanila mag-transition.
The PPA is expected to officially roll out the ticketing system and mobile app next year. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
And over 61,000 sea-based Filipino workers abroad have been sent home. Some 127 seafarers, however, remain stranded on their ships. In today's Laging Handa briefing, Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Brigido Dulay said they are already coordinating with foreign embassies for assistance. Dulay confirmed that Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. has ordered Philippine ambassadors not to close their offices and to continue providing services to OFWs. The DFA reported that around 175,000 Filipino workers abroad have been successfully repatriated, the government's biggest repatriation effort to date. And thousands of Maynilad customers are now experiencing water service interruption. The water concessionaire says that maintenance works are underway for the amihan season. Shaila Francisco has the report.
Despite the early notice, some Maynilad customers in the southern part of Metro Manila were unable to prepare for the scheduled water interruption. This laundry shop in Las Piñas, for one, is running out of water as they don't have enough tanks for storage.
Konti lang, pang 5 washing lang po. Pending talaga yung namin, negosyo.
Paano?
Ayun po mag-antay lang kami kung kailan babalik.
To help its customers, Maynilad has deployed 40 tankers in areas with no water supply. Personnel are strictly guarding the tankers to ensure that health protocols such as physical distancing are observed. Maynilad earlier explained that it had to shut down one of its water treatment plants in Putatan, Muntinlupa. The move will give way for maintenance works in preparation for the approaching season of northeast monsoon or amihan.
Pagdating po ng season na madaming po yung tubig na inaasahan namin po sa Laguna Lake, ay baka po magkaroon po kami ng challenges para po i-treat yung mas low quality na raw water po sa Laguna Lake.
Padua noted that the water plant might slow down if it is not ready for the treatment, resulting in further service interruptions. As of the moment, almost 250,000 households across Las Piñas, Muntinlupa, Parañaque, Pasay, and Cavite are affected. Maynilad has assured residents that the water supply will go back to normal on Saturday morning as scheduled. Shaila Francisco, We Are One News.
For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao, and we are One News. Thanks.